my God, man. Do you know what this means? This Skitter's gonna be turned upside down, I tell you, upside down. If you get on his bad side, brother, you're done for. Now, it's only a matter of time before he finds out, and when he does, no matter where he is, get ready, gentlemen, because hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming.
You think you're the best? I hope you are. A Gundam mobile suit is a fully articulated, fully equipped machine, armed with the most sophisticated weaponry known to man. To be a complete Gundam pilot, you must train on both Gundam systems. Believe me, gentlemen, to beat the best, you have to be the best.
In a world where podcasting is king, you are listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
Open.
Gundam
Damn it, open! Prime, you said the Matrix would light our darkest hour.
Magnus! I want the Matrix! Never!
Autobots and Decepticons on the planet Cybertron.
Come on! Broadcast visual representation. I will build the ultimate weapon.
Total domination.
750,000 kilowatts.
We're Autobots. Autobots, stop!
The thin line between being a hero and being a memory.
Bumblebee reporting for duty.
Cybertron for eternity!
This new planet is rich with sources of energy.
You better get some help, Prime.
I said I'm fine.
We shall rise. Autobot, we are indestructible. Autobots, assemble on the double. Scrap metal, raw material.
But you are functional. It tastes terrible.
I'm gonna boot some Decepticon right in his turbocharger.
Autobot invaders.
I think the worst is over.
Where are your manners? Silence, miserable flesh creature.
Organize a battle unit.
Welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. This is episode 294. I'm one of your hosts, Chris. Joining me always is Neo, who is here but is not here, and Solbro. Say hello, Solbro.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Hey, yo, guys. Welcome to the show. almost
Just going to ask if you were unmuted.
Woo! Almost got caught, man. It's good shit. But thank you guys very much for coming out tonight. And Neil will join us shortly. Back to you, Chris.
He's probably petting his dog or something. I don't
Probably.
know. But, joining us tonight is a special guest coming back to the show for the, I don't know how many times now. Fred, say hello.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me on again. I appreciate it. I still question why y'all keep letting me get back into the studio, but I appreciate it every time.
Welcome, sir.
You must be using that same faulty backdoor that Dennis and Palpatine.
Yeah, dude.
Yo, Dennis.
Y'all just keep that thing unlocked, man. I just kicked the door in after chugging half a case of Cooler Banquets, dude. It just like my tirade, dude.
There you go. So for tonight's episode, we are going to be discussing year one of the ongoing Energon Universe shared comic book universe published by Skybound, which encompasses Transformers, G.I. Joe, and an original series called Void Rivals. So, while we're waiting for Neo, I don't want to intrude on Neo's news. Fred, Anything you want to tell us? Anything interesting going on? Games you've been playing, movies you've been watching? Anything you want to plug that people should be checking out?
No, I mean, other than I have to plug the always the Godzilla propaganda machine, which is that Godzilla -1 is now available finally.
Yes.
On Netflix, and is also available for rent on Amazon Prime. Minus Color will be coming this July, I remember. And it will be on Netflix this July, but it is right now available for rent on Amazon Prime. If you haven't seen it, if you were one of the few people who didn't pirate the movie because that movie became the most pirated movie.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah, we're live. So, welcome back, sir. Go, Fred.
I didn't know you guys went live.
We started with that because the show's over.
Yeah, that's it. We closed.
All
the
right,
show.
cool.
This
I'm
is
good.
actually the last episode, by the way.
Yes.
So, bro, tell them where they can find us.
What are we doing next episode?
No, this is it. This is the final episode. Didn't you know?
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
God damn it! No, we started because I was telling everybody we started at 10:15, so I figured the call would have been short and you would have been back on before we went live. But it's okay. It's all right. Go ahead. Fred, finish what you were saying about Godzilla -1.
Godzilla, yeah. So yeah, -1, apparently the most pirated movie of the year. Also became
congratulations.
Also became the highest watched movie on both Netflix and Apple TV.
God
at
damn.
the same time. It is like the first. Apparently, it's the first time in history. Which I don't know. I mean, I'll take it. It's a dub. I'll take it. Even if it's not real.
Yes.
But apparently, that's like the first time in the history that like a movie has premiered and been at the top of the boards on both platforms. So, hey, man.
Yeah, I'm part of that actually. I watched it on Netflix in the Japanese. I was like doing something in the house. I had it kind of in the background, so I was kind of like barely watching it, and then I watched it again. I think Monday night on Apple TV because I watched the dub, which is surprisingly pretty good.
It's pretty. Yep,
it's really good actually.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I gotta applaud whoever paid for the dub. It's good. It's good. So I encourage it both ways. So yeah, I'm part of those numbers.
Yeah, because me too. Because it's like
I didn't realize that, but I guess I am.
Because it's like I just want to rewatch like a scene or something like that, and then it just turns into I guess I'm just watching the movie. And then it turns into the movie ends, and then all of a sudden, oh no, it accidentally looped again. I guess I'm watching it again.
Oh no!
Oh no! What tragedy! But all I gotta know is where's our Blu-ray release, Toho? Where are
I know,
you,
right?
Like,
I keep hearing these rumors that Criterion is going to do a domestic release, which would be fucking awesome if they did that, because they'll give it the nice treatment that it deserves with essays
hopefully.
and bonus features and all that nice shit.
We hope, because Toho is a fickle creature, and they will demand X amount of money just as much as licensing the movie, just to have bonus features onto a US disc, because they're still living in the dark ages. But they, just to kind of ride the hype, I guess they just acquired the first four Heisei Godzilla movies, so those are going to be able to be streaming on the Criterion channel now, which means like what they did with the Showa movies, that's leading to a physical release. So we might be getting the entire Godzilla series on Criterion Collection, maybe.
Oh, cool.
Well, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Wow. And I know that every night I hear this collective moan that comes north of me. I think it's coming from Hollywood when they, and the facepalm, because they're like, it's all the studio executives of like, how can you make something so good for so little amount of money and so little resources?
$15 million lizard movie do so much better than all of these big $200 million flops.
And not only be audience acclaimed, but critically acclaimed, and having people sitting there watching this movie multiple times and coming back and each time saying that, oh, I got something different on it. And as a person that I've actually seen it again, probably fully one other time, so it's twice now. And yes, I think you do each time you do get something different in it because you see different things with it. So yes, I mean, yeah, that's yeah. So it's crazy. I just laugh when that. Because it's like that. Because I think back when I was like flying back from France, I was on the plane watching movies, and I watched that god awful Aquaman movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and I'm like, why did they do this? Like, and it's like the whole thing was just a train wreck. I mean, I have nothing. I think the actors did an okay job, but I'm like, none of this makes sense. It's like, half of the movie just it meanders, and then they have to rush everything, and it's kind of stupid at the end. It's like, and they spent what? Probably hundreds of millions of dollars on that thing. So I don't know.
Yeah. I
mean, between Godzilla -1 and the Iron Claw, those are the two movies you need to see.
Iron Claw, baby. Yes. Hell yeah.
That's yeah. So
ooh, that's a rough one, boy. That's a rough one.
But it's a very good movie.
It's a good one, though. Yeah.
And I can't believe that I'm saying that Zac Efron should have gotten the Oscar. It's like a weird world, but what do you think? I mean, he's so good at it. I'm like, couldn't believe it. So,
heard him and my boy from The Bear fucking cooked it in that movie, man. Damn.
Oh, that guy, yeah. I always remember him from Shameless.
Yeah, that's right. He was in that.
Shameless.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Bear, another good show coming back next week. Can't wait. But
so what are we doing? The news?
The news, sir. It's time.
Okay, where are we? Where are we? Sorry, Chris.
The Godzilla was just filler for you to come back. So
it's, all right. Awesome.
For you to saunter over.
I'm actually running over. More of a run.
Yeah, the show's running late.
gotta get. But yes, sauntering, running over to the Larry King Memorial News Studio for some Neo's listener submitted news. And if you ever have any, go to the Neo's listener submitted news articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. And the first one here, wow, this is pretty appropriate. It comes from Ron76. I won't go too much into it, but I think Solbro brought this up in our pre-show here before we went on live. Chris Helmworth jumps from animated Transformers to live-action G.I. Joe crossover. I guess there is a rumor that he's going to be doing something in the new G.I. Joe Transformers crossover movie. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys want to talk about it or just save it to the discussion in the Energon universe. But up to you.
Yeah, I know that we're probably going to come back to that in a discussion of one of the stories. So one of the 4 trades. But yeah, it caught me by surprise when they talked about it, because he's already the voice of Prime in Transformers 1, and I know he took a very strong shine to doing that role. And he actually coached with Peter Cullen. When it comes down to that role, so to hear him that he's going to be coming back to the world of Transformers in the live action crossover between that and G.I. Joe.
Peter Cullen passing his spark to Chris Helmsworth. Is that what is going on?
Oh no!
Is he passing his spark over to the voice animated Transformers and other things for the future?
My God! Before he walks into the Matrix.
Please no. Before he becomes one with the Matrix.
Somewhere Gary Chalk is crying and wondering, why not me?
Why me? It should have been me, not him.
People like Chris Helmsworth. I mean, he's a likable guy.
Damn.
I don't know that. I'm not saying the other guy's not likable, but I'm just saying people like Chris Helmsworth. He's a likable guy. Yeah. So, but yeah.
It's pretty exciting though, yeah. And I'm sure we'll touch upon it in the discussion of the Energon Universe as we get to it. But it sounds pretty cool. I'm glad to see he's going to be in it, or possibly going to be in it. We haven't heard how the talks turned out. I got full confirmation on him being in it, but right now it's looking pretty good. So fingers crossed.
There you go. Next one here comes from MCT Dread. It looks like the Lupin the Third Fujiko Mine voice actor. I think she's the original one, right? From the 70s, passes away.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
passes away at 89. Yeah, yeah. So let me see here. Is it lung cancer? Because that always seems what goes to those people.
Unfortunately,
I hate to be that way, but it's like
because they just never stop smoking.
Yeah. I think that's what makes her voices so good.
Exactly.
That's the secret sauce. So, but yeah, she passed away May 20th, 2024 at age to pneumonia. So yeah, probably smoking related.
Shit.
So,
God dang it.
Damn.
What a shame, man. But she was a legend, man. She brought life to that character and characterized that Fujiko for years on. So props to her, man. God bless her. I hope she went. I hope she, if anything, I hope she passed on without pain. But if anything, my hat's off to her.
There you go. MCT Dread comes back. Oh man, July is gonna be a fun time. Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 is coming to Netflix.
Yes.
So, there you go.
Yes.
The best Star Trek animated series is coming back.
Oh damn.
So,
I see what you did there.
you have to kind of say that. It's probably one of the. It's one of the. Season 1 was one of the best offerings of any of this.
It's dope as fuck. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, you have to admit that. As good as Strange New Worlds and Discovery, all those other seasons were, that one was really, really good. So I mean, come on. I mean, you have to give it to that.
It's
I
funny.
say that now, and season 2 might be a ball of shit.
It's funny, man. Cats in France have been watching this since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I know. When I was over there, I was trying to get onto my Netflix, and I don't have an active VPN anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you're in a different country that you can't do this. I was like, oh, so
Man, you travel with no VPN, man. Let's go on the internet with no condom. I see you.
Yeah, bro.
Dude, I was going there. I wasn't going there to be on the internet.
I figured.
Raw dogging the French internet.
I'd rather do that than at least I know my information won't be sold there.
Got him. You got us.
So.
There you go. Jeez.
And half the time they were on strike anyway, so it doesn't matter. Which is funny. There was a point where the Metro went on strike. We were trying to go back. We had to go like 2 stations down, and the thing stopped. They're like, they're on strike. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Liberté. So, yeah, and MCT Dread comes back with another one. Ultraman Rising film gets limited theatrical release in North America and the UK. Yeah, so yeah, I've seen this too. People have been chatting about this one here. It's gonna we'll screen in New York City, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Dallas, Atlanta, Boston, DC, San Francisco, Seattle, and Miami. So, wow, that's pretty cool. What is this? One of those Tuesday night, like, what is that? What is that? Yeah, those events that they always do. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it looks June 12th, ahead of the June 4th. Okay, so this has already happened. So, any of you guys see it? I didn't see it. So
I have not seen it yet, but I will because I'm obligated to. So it seems fun. Ultraman is fun.
Oh yeah, Ultraman is awesome.
People it is awesome. Not according to Miyazaki, apparently. That's a long-standing thing of he actually hates Ultraman.
Ooh.
So
wow.
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Damn. Ultraman was a mistake. Oh damn.
Yeah.
Of all the things to hate, but you know, okay, whatever.
Well, Will Smith loves Ultraman, guys. He loves it. So there you go. Combat Miyazaki with Will Smith.
Hey, he's been redeemed.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, Bad Boys performed.
I can't wait for the review. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I went to the movie last week, and I didn't see that because Miriam wanted to see. I actually saw The Fall Guy, which surprisingly, I think is a pretty good movie.
Damn, you went to theaters for that? Oh man. Y'all gotta watch that at home.
She wanted to see it.
Hey man, you know what? Nothing like the theater experience. I'm glad you guys supported the theater.
Because there's a dog there, and we could take our dog.
Oh yeah,
there's a dog in the movie.
See, there. I mean, all right, valid point. All right, you got a point there.
Yeah, Foxy Foxy gets a hamburger and watches the movie. So
nice.
She gets a hamburger patty and watches the movie. So there you go. MCT Dre comes back with Godzilla -1 is streaming now, including the special black and white version. I haven't seen that. I'm sure, Fred, you've probably seen it 14,000 times already.
Yes.
Black and white version. Does it
25, but yeah.
25.
Does it enhance it?
Absolutely. I actually think it is the
more terrifying.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Because it's still a terrifying movie. I
think it's the preferred way of seeing that movie. Honestly, it is the best way to see that movie right now.
Such a terrifying movie.
It's so good. The boat scene, like watching that in black and white, is
when he's chasing him.
Yes,
he's chasing him and they're trying to shoot the mine in his mouth.
Yeah, it's amazing in black and white.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, it seems to be that movie's a hit.
I wonder.
Who knew?
Yeah. There you go. Next one here, Rodimus 76. I guess I don't know about this, but maybe Chris, you probably know about it. What's the Jonathan Frakes and his Star Trek Legacy project? I guess there's something what is this? Is it anything?
What you're talking about.
It's something about some legacy project. He continues to talk about his proposed spin-off.
Yeah,
Star
that's
Trek
the spin-off of Picard that is probably never going to happen.
Yeah.
So he was probably just being interviewed about it.
Yeah, and Terry Matalas, the previous showrunner for Picard, has moved on to do. He's been hired to do the Vision Quest series for Marvel. So I'm excited for him being on that because he's a great writer and he can run. He definitely show run. So if anything, that show should be decent. But it sucks because we were hoping that Star Trek Legacy would be a thing, and it looks like it'll probably never happen. Especially with the bullshit that's happening with Paramount right now. They were lining up to be bought out by to merge with Skydance, and then that fell through. So yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
I've read articles about that necessarily wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
So
well, at least not for sure.
That it was.
No. Yeah.
No, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing even for fans of their properties. The word on the street, the guy was gonna sell a lot of it for parts.
Oh wow.
So
well, shit.
Yeah.
Well, that still might happen.
Honestly, with Legacy, I'll say a hot take that might be blasphemous in Star Trek fandom circles. It's okay. It's okay if it doesn't happen.
There you go.
You
heard it here.
We don't really need it. We got closure on all of these characters in Picard season 3, whether it's next gen people or Voyager people, and I would rather just move on and do new things. Like I would like to see more Star Trek in the 25th century.
Yeah.
But about entirely new people, no legacy characters, and if you want to do a legacy story, maybe the best bet is one of these streaming movies like Section 31, but it doesn't have to be a series. We've had enough of all these people, let them go off into the sunset. Next Gen needed a better finale than Nemesis. We finally got that with season 3 of Picard. Let them rest.
Yeah, and Jonathan Frakes can direct that. So, there you go.
Neato.
I actually would prefer between the end of the TOS movies and Star Trek The Next Generation, something in between there, for one reason. One reason only, because that's the span of the Monster Maroons, baby. Those need to come back. Those need to come back.
You're going to get your wish probably because the Section 31 movie, one of the characters in it is young Rachel Garrett, future captain of the Enterprise C.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Yeah, because I mean, when I saw that Balanced Terra remake, oh man, it was so. That was the best part of it. I mean, when Future Pike came back like that, I was like, oh hell yeah, that's what we need. So
I recall you not liking the specifics of how they
I
updated
didn't.
that
I
monster.
don't. I don't like. No, I don't like the. I didn't like the specifics, but I like the fact that there was an homage to it. But yes, you're correct. I didn't like the kind of like athletic leisure-ification of it because it felt like it was kind of like a Lululemon Monster Maroon, which I don't have a problem with either one. Yeah, I don't have a problem with either thing, but it's like putting them together, not necessarily. Yeah, because you need those turtlenecks. Yeah, those are the things that
to bring the outfit together, man. What are you doing? What are you doing? Put them turtlenecks back on. It's no time for the Jean Friday, man. Casual Friday.
And then they had the away jackets. The away
they had the flap,
environmental
man.
jacket.
They had the flap, son. Yeah, that's they were gonna make the uniforms of Generations somewhat similar to those, but they ended up not doing it, unfortunately. But yeah, man, you need a turtleneck and you need the flap, man. That's brings the whole thing together, man.
Scotty's little vest.
Yes.
So cool. The best. But yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, Chris. I mean, yeah, maybe it's time just to, if you're gonna, it's good to have new Star Trek, but maybe just actually have new Star Trek. it's okay to go. There's so many other things that we can do. So yeah, because all you do with those characters is you could really screw up what you did. You kind of like you said, you kind of rectified Nemesis, that ending. So now, what are you gonna do? Do something that's a lot less, that kind of brings it down. But all right, next one here is from Rodimus76. Yeah, I saw this. Soulbro, did you do? When is this? This Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and the Warzone Gundam event? When is this? I saw this.
I think it actually happened. I didn't get involved.
You didn't participate?
Yeah, I'm not buying.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not buying.
Oh, it's live until June 19th, so you still got some time. And yeah, you get to have Gundam to the season 4 of Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. So yeah.
The less money I can give Activision, the better. And I do think that this is cool because it gives attention to Gundam. But I don't know exactly how many fans it's going to make. But it does put Gundam into the mainstream. People and it gets people in the over in the Far East and in China and Japan and all that to try out Modern Warfare, I guess. So it is what it is. I like to see Gundam's involvement in pop culture. So I'm looking forward to the next crossover in pop culture, but I hope people have fun playing this promotion, and hope we get some Gundam fans because of it. So, props to them.
If you're gonna do live action Gundam, just convince HBO to do a series on it. That's what you need to do.
There you go.
Series of the first Gundam. That's all you need to do. It can be done. It's either that or Legend of Galactic
Heroes. To HBO is live action version of Mobile Ops, the 1 Year War.
Yes.
And Soulbro can be the pitch man for that one.
You bet.
He'll do his best Don Draper. Picture this.
Picture this. Band of Gundams.
And I know you have limited knowledge of Gundam, so all those characters like Char and Armro and all these other people that people would know, none of those people are in it.
They're just like a name on like a screen in the background or something like that. I was like, yeah, there you go, nerd.
They may come up as a teaser at the first season finale.
Just a silhouette of a dude in a mask. It was like, don't even name him. It just be like, oh, that's the guy.
Yes.
I saw the guy and it made me clap.
Now we will connect it to a Gundam property. We'll connect it. We'll change it where the squad leader for the Federation is a young South Burning.
My god!
Yes.
So it's just gritty, just ultra gritty. Yeah.
Well, if you cast George Clooney, he'd probably be the right age to play. 33 for South Burning.
33.
Yeah, perfect. Actually, he would be perfect. Yes.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he looks like 33, right? For South Burning.
Yeah. Shout out to South Burning. Let me pull up a picture of him.
Because who was in that squad? Because wasn't Mancha in the squad? He was. He fought with and the other those other two guys. So Mancha, who would that be? Oh, Nick Offerman. You have to have him.
Oh no,
He would be perfect.
Nick Offerman is reserved for Rumble Raw and only Rumble Raw.
Yes.
Yes. 1000%. There's
because
other
we're
man
not
alive.
we're not going to go do the Gundam. We're going to do the Gundam because that's the key to success.
No ordinary woodwork, boy.
The Gundam you kind of know.
Yes. Anyway, for those that don't know, South Burning, this is him. This guy is supposed to be 33 to 35. No.
Yeah.
No, sir.
No
question.
And you're right. Current like 60-something George Clooney would be perfect for them. I mean, it matches the vision. So no Nick Offerman. So who would Mancha be? Who's another guy with a big bushy mustache like that we could?
Zach Galifianakis.
There you go.
You know what?
Aim for the stars.
Chris, you may have a future in Hollywood. So you can't do any worse than what's been being done now. But yeah, so oh man, oh yeah, MCD Jared came with this. I saw this, and this was kind of it was a little sad. Gainax files for bankruptcy.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
if you are like us, if you're old grizzled anime fans like us, you definitely know Gainax. I know they weren't even. This is probably not even a big deal now because they're not even what they were back when they were doing things like Evangelion and all that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely kind of a sad thing when you see these things happen. It's never good to see things go bankrupt and then people do lose their jobs. So that's the other thing. So I know they were in a fight with Ano and stuff because I guess I don't know all the things. I just saw that I guess he broke away many years ago, and there's just been back and forth because of what is it always? It's some type of creative difference.
He floated them money to stay afloat, and they didn't pay it back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
and then ultimately he went through a whole lawsuit for getting the license to Evangelion back, in the middle of production of 3.0 plus 1.0.
Wow.
So, when that movie finished, he gained the rights back to Evangelion. Who knows what'll happen with the TV series? It's sad, but it's one of those things with Gainax going away. It's about time. We were all kind of just waiting for it to happen. It's fine.
Yeah, it was kind of I've read about this before, the thing about the restaurant, and I guess there was something in the past where that kind of was a big screw up and stuff, and I think it was just always on life support. Yeah, it was just on life support, and
with the tomato farm or something like that too. There was some hijinks with that where they were funneling money through a tomato farm.
Wow,
that sounds like something for the Yakuza.
Announcing stuff that they never had any ability to produce, like Gunbuster 3 and Honiami's 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's always the sad when you see that stuff. So, looks here. Oh, Rodman76 has some Robo Apocalypse news. Inside the creepy Chinese factory where humanoid robots come to life. Well, if they're Chinese robots, they probably won't work. So I guess we can dodge that bullet for now.
Hey, Neo, I finally saw the creator, and I was thinking about you the whole time, since that's definitely a Tomes.
Yes. Boy, is it.
What is the creator?
It's a movie by the guy who did District 9. It's about AI and about
I think I've heard of this.
A young AI girl.
No, it's the guy who did Rogue One.
Oh, okay. Rogue One. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry.
And Godzilla 2014.
It's with John David Washington and a small robot child.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was like, wait, that sounded familiar, but I'll have to check that out. Yeah, is it definitely Tomes? Yeah.
It's Tomes related, but in the end, not the way you think. So.
Oh really? A little bit of a twist, huh?
A little bit of a twist on the Tomes.
Wow. So, Rodham76 comes back. I didn't know about this. Wow, this is cool. I guess there's going to be a return to the theaters of Ghost in the Shell Innocence, or Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. I guess there's a 4K restoration on it. So let me see here.
For the 20th anniversary of Professor Bato's philosophy lectures.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I remember buying. I think it was the DVD when it came out, and I was like watching it, and I was like, oh, "This is definitely not like the first one."
I saw it in the theater 20 years ago when it came out, and I thought, "This is very shiny, but it's also a lot
beautiful.
of philosophy and ennui."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to come the June 23rd, 24th, and 26th. 400 theaters nationwide. So, yeah. Yep. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, all right, here. What's going on with this? Why are you not... The robots probably heard me. That's why I can't go back.
No doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. Oh, and he follows up with Rodimus 76. There's going to be a new Ghost in the Shell anime announced, too. Imagine that.
It's, yeah.
So it looks like set for 2026, and it's been titled The Ghost in the Shell. So, it's kind of like Fast and the Furious now, where it was like the Fast and the Furious, and then it was Fast and Furious. And so, yeah.
Fate of the Ghost.
Fate of the Ghost. Ghost 7. Ghost.
It's the show is, or the movie or whatever this is supposed to be done by Science Saru, the people who did Devilman Crybaby.
Oh shit! Oh, that was so fucking disturbing. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
But, it's the studio.
It's the
We
studio,
don't know
yeah,
who the director is, but
I gotta
from the teaser.
Mhm,
From
go
the
ahead.
teaser we got, it looks like it's going to be more in line with the Ghost in
manga.
the Shell manga.
Yeah, that's
which is
what-
great because we
yeah.
haven't had really good representation of that.
We really haven't. 'Cause if you read the manga's a completely different animal. Holy shit!
Oh, yeah.
And it's very it could be lunatic sometimes. It could be a little off kilter, much like Dominion Tank Police and whatnot too, which is another one of his works. I'm curious to see if
I think a lot of people underestimate like how much of the conception of Ghost in the Shell that people have is entirely due to Mamoru Oshii's aesthetics for the original.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Standalone Complex kind of carries that kind of tone along, but the tone of the actual Ghost in the Shell manga, it's a little all over the place, and I'm not mad at that at all. I enjoyed reading the manga, especially the stories after the Major kind of loses her actual body and transitions on into being the Ghost in the Shell on the interwebs. But it's I'm intrigued by this. Hopefully it's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully it's good. So, let's see here. Ooh, like I said, I haven't seen Bad Boys Ride or Die Not. I know that's a bad thing, but I guess there's Sir Bay makes a cameo in it. He's got a quick cameo.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Good
show. So, yeah. Does he return with Dan Marino? I mean, that would really harken it back to Bad Boys too.
Sure.
Have to have Dan Marino in it. Maybe now Dwayne Wade. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't want to be spoiled on this one. I'm gonna keep that to my. Yeah, no spoiler on that one.
Well,
so,
shit.
Yeah, I don't want. Gotta keep it there. So let's see here. Anything else? Grandizer U anime reveals third promo video. Anime manga adaptation July 5th premiere from Rodimus 76. That sounds kind of cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks fun.
Yeah, looks pretty fun.
Well, if you don't have anything else, I got two things I want to rant about briefly before we get into the topic.
I do have a news story.
Yeah,
before
let
we
me.
do. Just a news story.
Yeah, just give me.
Sure.
Give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. I know. And I think that's about it. So sorry if I didn't get it, but it's fine. Thank you for the submissions. Well, if we can always get back with you on that. And yeah, I think Solbra, I saw yours. Overacting comes back to Star Trek.
Hell
Paul Giamatti joining Starfleet Academy.
Yo,
so,
pig vomit, baby. Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah. going to completely overact. He's such a great overactor.
I love this man. I love it. I need to still see The Holdovers, which is the movie that he got nominated for an Oscar last year.
If you want to see the best of his overacting, watch that show Billions.
Oh yeah, man! I need to get on
the district attorney. Oh my god!
There's always the 5 minutes of Amazing Spider-Man 2 that he's in, and just like really, really overdoing it as the Rhino.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Fucking classic. I will say this: he's a big Star Trek fan, so for him to be a get on this series is great. I'm looking forward to that. He loves sci-fi and horror, so he doesn't get to do it that often. So to see him in this is going to be fantastic. He does television, of course, all the time, as well as that. Also, shout out to Rodman76. He let us know that Prodigy Season 2 is coming next month on July the 1st. So look out for a review of that in a future episode of Gundam. We don't know if they're dropping the whole thing at once.
No, we do.
Oh, we do? What did they say?
The whole thing.
Yeah, they're dropping the whole thing.
All 20 eps? Oh, wow.
All 20 episodes. Yo. The most Star Trek ever released in one day.
God damn it, dude. I was hoping they would release it in waves, but it's Netflix.
Why?
Because it's just, I'd rather it be talked about for an extended period of time. You drop it all in one day, and it only gets talked about the weekend, and it's gone.
That's how they juice their things.
The show is meant for children. They don't care about us talking about it.
It's fair, but
honest,
a conversation.
The fact that you should just be thankful the fact that you're getting it.
Yeah,
like it's not sealed in the vault with like Batgirl and all those other things that they're. What is it? The Wile E. Coyote movie.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean. I get what you're saying, but just be glad that it's not locked in a vault somewhere. So
I just hope that Netflix is overall changes this kind of plan because it's stupid. Even for the larger shows,
they do for their stuff.
No, they don't. With Stranger Things, they dropped half of the last season all at once, and then the second half a couple months later. The only thing they do it with is probably they did it with Arcane. They dropped 3 episodes a week for Arcane, which was great for that show. That's a fantastic series for those who haven't seen it. It's one of the best animated series I've ever seen in my life, period. I'm so glad that season 2 got announced. It's dropping in November. But yeah, they did that with Arcane. They dropped 3 episodes a week as opposed to dropping the whole 9 episodes. And we're getting another 9. Hopefully they'll do it the same way. So we'll see. But
yeah, but this is their thing. It's not like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's not like they've like completely changed. Because then I guarantee you, if they changed it where they just started spoon feeding it, there'd be a lot more people complaining about that than you complaining about this. Like, I think so.
I think it would be the opposite, but it's okay. It's fine. I have to.
How they juice their numbers.
Yeah,
but they have to juice their numbers. So.
All other streaming services don't do this. They most of them, except for Amazon on occasion, but most of the other ones drop week to week, and it's been doing well for them. So. It's a Netflix thing. That's what they do, and Amazon on occasion. So, well, again, I'll just have to live with it. It's fine. But, oh well.
Yeah. Could be worse. So, Chris, I guess, did you bring the Straight Talk Express out of storage, or, I mean, what's it? Or are you just going on a straight rant?
It's running off battery now.
Oh, shit.
Oh, okay, cool. Good.
Environmental.
You've converted it to an EV. Cool. Watch out for those sharks. Hopefully, it doesn't go in the water with sharks. So, because what do you want to do? Get electrocuted or get the sharks?
Yeah, don't want it to sink in the water. So, 2 things that were not mentioned in the news, but are newsy topics. So, the pre-orders for the Macross Plus Ultimate Edition went live, and it's going for $190.
Oh.
That's the U.S. price, and that's for the OVA and the movie and this very fancy hardcover book. And the issue is it has come out that Anime Limited, the company that's releasing it in the UK and America, is only going to be releasing a standard edition of the movie.
Huh?
Oh.
For $190?
No. Later on, they're doing a standard edition of just the movie.
Oh, okay.
So, if you want to have the OVA version, then you're shit out of luck if you don't end up spending $190 on this set. And people asked, why are you doing this? And they said it's not possible to release the OVA. And I have heard that this is the same way it was released in Japan. So it kind of sounds to me like this might be a Big West thing. And if that's the case, my rant is that
Nothing changed.
I really, really need Japanese companies to understand that North America is a completely different video market than Japan, and you all need to stop trying to force Japanese prices and release strategies on us, because we do not like that here and we do not want it. We already went through this 20 years ago with Bandai Visual, went through it with Aniplex and all their stupidly overpriced releases like Gurren Lagann and all these other things, and Garden of Sinners, and it's like, stop doing this. It's not worth it. Nobody likes this. Been waiting all this freaking time to get Macross again in America, and it's like we still got to have Roblox even without Harmony Gold being involved.
Yeah.
Like we still got to have nonsense, you know. It seems like the only Macross thing being released in America without any hassles is the Kickstarter for Macross 2. So, you know, at least there's that. But, you know, personally, I like the movie version of Macross Plus better, but still want to have the OVA. Like, that's the original version, and that's the one with the dub with Bryan Cranston and David Hayter on that last episode randomly. And, you know, like, that should be available for people to have, and locking it behind $190 set really for 4 episodes and a compilation movie, like, come on, guys.
And then they'll wonder why they can't penetrate this market too.
Yeah.
Oh, why does anybody want this stuff? Well, I mean,
that's a shame. It's kind of a similar thing that happened with the Evangelion DVDs whenever they released the TV show. Maybe not in the same parallel, but the only way to get the ADV dub on physical release is if you shell out for the special edition, which is like $200. The regular edition does not come with the ADV dub; it comes with the new dub.
Oh, God damn it.
So
yeah, and they did the same thing with Seed and Destiny. If you want the original dub, you had to get the Ultimate editions. But you know, at least for me, it's like those are just dubs. And I know those have value for some people, but it's like, it's not like you're necessarily locking away an entire fucking original version of a series in a box set. Like, you can still get Seed and Destiny and Evangelion, at least, you know, the original versions. This is just a bunch of nonsense. Like, this is not good. This is a bad idea, and you know, I suspect that this is not what Anime Limited wanted, and you know that this is being forced on them. I've just seen this happen enough times that you know something smells rotten, and you know what it is, even if we don't have facts right now to back that up. So we'll have to see what happens, but it's very disappointing to hear.
But not surprising.
Not surprising, but still disappointing. The other thing, there was some news on ANN recently about some video game is recasting a character who was voiced by Toru Furuya because of his recent scandals.
Right.
So that in itself is not the news. The news is ANN has been reporting this situation in a really weird way, and it has rubbed me wrong since the start, and they're still doing it, and I need to talk about it because it's just fucking weird.
Ooh.
So in their initial report, they used some really weird passive framing about some of the things that Furuya admitted to doing. So just to recap, you know, he had an affair with you know, a woman who is like 35 years plus younger than him. He was emotionally and physically abusive, and he coerced her into having an abortion when he got her pregnant. ANN's initial reporting says that he raised his hand to strike her, which is really weird language, because when you say raised his hand to strike her, that is vague enough that you're not necessarily communicating that he actually did hit her. You could be saying that he raised his hand as if to hit her but did not. So that's really weird. Use accurate words to describe what he did. He admitted all these things. We know that he hit her. He admitted it. So don't frame it some weird way. It also has this very weird passive framing where it says that he caused her to have an abortion. Why are we using these like really weird, nonsensical sentences? He coerced her into having an abortion. Like that's the truth of the matter. Just fucking say it.
Just be matter of fact, I suppose.
What's going on? Yeah. Just be factual. Be direct.
Especially if he admitted to it.
Understand.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just laziness in this most recent story that they're just copying and pasting because it's word for word the same phrasing. But like, it was wrong the first time. It's wrong to use it again. Stop saying it. Just report factually on what he did, and don't do this anymore. This is bad journalism.
No man, it's good to see Newsman Chris back in the building. I see you.
I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. They probably think that they're journalists, but they're not. I mean, in the end, it's just fan stuff, and I think that's what makes it so difficult.
I don't want to knock everything ANN does, but this particular porting is not good. And as Yahtzee points out in the chat, Zionic, they did translation of the full magazine interview, so you can go there and read it, and it has all the details of what a shit foodery it was. So go read that and not the ANN stories, because that's weird and badly written. And if you see more discussion about that in the future from ANN, be on the lookout and see if they're using this weaselly passive framing.
Well, they won't. It's not just them though. I mean, this is a problem that you see like in sports journalism too. The problem is when you cover things and you need access to people to cover, to cover and talk about the things that you're talking about, and something like this happens, especially to somebody prominent, they always do this rosy language. I mean, there's so many times that they, they're not. Yeah, it doesn't say that everything they say is bad. It's just that when this is a common thing that you see. So I mean, I see it a lot with like sports journalism and a lot of things. I mean, people try to, to do that. So it's. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, and I think sometimes too, it's always that difficult thing of like, yeah, these people they perform or they do things that we like, but then when you find out how the real person is, like, sounds are horrible, like that does give you that crisis sometimes. It's like, should I support this?
All I know is we need to get Chris a fedora.
Never meet your heroes, right?
Pretty much.
All I know is we need to get Chris a fedora with the card in it that says press. That's what we need to do.
No fedoras. Fedoras have been ruined by incels.
Oh, true. I forgot about that. Damn. Indiana Jones couldn't save it. Man, fuck.
No, he needs to be like J. Jonah Jameson on those Spider-Man 2, the video game where he's at the podcast. He's doing the that's how you should be, Chris.
There you go.
It's ranting about Spider-Man from
ranting about Spider-Man while you're selling your supplements and your food that stays forever. Oh man! All right, cool. So, any other rants, Chris?
Nope, that's it.
All right, cool. Did you ban anybody while you were talking about this? Because I mean, I usually when you rant, you end up just going on a banning spree. So,
like 50 people already.
Oh, awesome. You're getting a little slow though, Chris. Usually, I know back in the day, sometimes you'd be pushing 70 or 90. So I don't.
Well, I'm also working on line art at the same time. So
okay.
There you go.
All right. So, anything else? Any other things? News?
Nah, man, ready to go.
Rants. All right. Well, thank you. So yeah, I guess tonight we will be talking about Arc 1 review of the Energon Universe, which includes a book called Void Rivals, which is an original property. Duke, which is a limited series. So the Energon Universe, it's G.I. Joe and Transformers and these Void Rivals are a new thing. Then there's the Cobra Commander. There's the Transformers one, limited series, or no, that's an ongoing one, and then Cobra Commander. Correct? I didn't miss anything, right?
And currently,
right.
those are 4 that we're covering. Yes.
Yeah, because this is an ongoing thing, so we'll probably be revisiting this when Phase 2 of it, or Arc 2, gets complete. So, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? Who's going to summarize?
Just to give a little introduction.
I'll pick it up.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead.
So we have Energon Universe, which is published by Skybound Comics. This is coming after IDW lost the Transformers license, and Hasbro gave it to Skybound, which is imprint of Image. So, no surprise that Robert Kirkman is involved because he's the chief creative officer of Image. And he is kind of leading this effort to create a shared universe that establishes Transformers and G.I. Joe together in the same world from the start, which I believe has not been done before in comics. I know there have been plenty of crossovers, but not, them inhabiting the same shared universe simultaneously. Is that correct, Sobro or Fred?
Yeah. So it's all happening simultaneously right now.
Yeah, for a long run, when they've had short stints with there's been crossovers with all of Hasbro's properties, at least on IDW and other labels, but nothing to this extent before now.
Yeah, they did have the big event where they had like ROM, the Space Knight, and a couple others and stuff like that, but like which I would argue is what led to them losing the license, but that's a topic for another day.
Oops.
But yeah, nothing like this kind of heavy, like where it's just G.I. Joe and just Transformers. So,
and Void Rivals.
And Void Rivals, yes.
Indeed.
Because that's the original property, right?
Yes.
That's their original property to tie it all together.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a couple of different types of series here. So we have 2 ongoing series, which is Void Rivals, written by Robert Kirkman of Walking Dead fame, and Transformers, written by Daniel Warren Johnson. And we have various limited series from the G.I. Joe side. We have a Duke and Cobra Commander series that was written by Joshua Williamson, and we have now a new limited series, Scarlet, by Kelly Thompson, and Destro by Dan Waters. And these are all 5-issue limiteds compared to the other 2 that are ongoing. So Void Rivals is an original property that brings it all together and kind of sneakily does so by having a cameo with Jetfire in the very first issue, and then you're like, oh, okay, here we go. And then we got Quintessons and, all this other stuff. So, all right, we're all been part of one big happy universe. So what is going on? Void Rivals, it is kind of like an enemy mine kind of story of 2 pilots from warring races, the Agorians and the
Zertonians,
who inhabit 2 sides of this planet that they call the Sacred Ring, this kind of artificial world that they created together in the past, but then they became bitter enemies, and now they've been at war for centuries, and they all wear masks, which hides the fact that they all actually look the same. They're all yellow aliens with jewels on their forehead, but each thinks that the other is like a hideous monstrosity, and they've been trained to hate each other. So you have an Agorian pilot named Darak and a Zertonian warrior named Salila. They both crash on a planetoid. They end up working together to get off the planetoid. They have some misadventures with Bounty Hunter and some Quintessons, and then they end up back on the Sacred Ring, and Salila betrays Darak and takes him to her leader, and she ends up getting locked up as well because the leader knows that she knows the secret, and he is secretly in communication with his counterpart on the Igorian side, who is Derek's father, who does not care for his son at all and basically treats him like shit.
Pretty much.
And then they end up escaping and trying to run off to the sort of no man's land between the two sides of the Sacred Ring. So that's very roughly their story. Transformers picks up with Jetfire coming to Earth in search of Optimus, and we have the similar Transformers setup of all these Autobots and Decepticons deactivated on the Ark, and meet Spike and Carly, who accidentally triggered the reactivation. But things go a bit differently this time because Megatron is nowhere in sight, and the first Decepticon to get reactivated is Starscream. And boy, does he go on a murdering rampage. He calls human beings squishies. And he delights in killing them. And, you see him do that quite a bit because he shoots down jet fighter flown by Duke and his pal. And Duke is able to get away, but his friend gets grabbed by Starscream, who proceeds to squish him.
Yeah.
Because this is a pretty bloody title. And later on, Starscream attacks a human hospital, not because it has any tactical value, but just for the fuck of it, because he likes to see squishies squirm.
Yeah.
And, the Autobots, they're kind of on the back foot because only a few of them have been revived, and they're struggling to try to get Energon. Both sides are trying to get Energon to have Teletran 1 revive more robots from each other's sides. So it becomes this ongoing battle of trying to have control of the Ark, trying to get Energon, trying to revive people. Starscream and Soundwave, they do a number on Skywarp, to say the least.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You'll have to read and see that. There's a lot of human devastation in this small town. Carly's dad gets killed. Spike accidentally gets shot, and his dad, who is a war veteran with PTSD, ends up doing some big hero shit to save Optimus. You'll have to see that. And it's a pretty intense title. Then we jump to the Duke miniseries, which starts with Duke being, shit-canned, basically, because he won't give up pushing to find out more about this robot that killed his buddy, and he's been told, stop asking questions about this, and, you're gonna fuck up your career if you keep going down this path. But he keeps following leads, and he meets this woman who is part of a group of weirdos who have had encounters, and she actually knows what he's talking about, and tries to help him out. But there's a lot of corporate espionage with this company called Mars Industries that is led by Destro, and Duke gets captured at one point and ends up in a secret military prison, a black site next to the Baroness, who ends up having to help him during the escape. And a lot of antics happen, and that series kind of leaves off with Duke going back to the military and being asked to form a team. And we know we know who's going to be on that team.
Who knows?
But also, there's some surprises of who's going to be on that team.
Yes, there is,
including the Baroness herself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest swerve.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, not expecting that.
Nope.
Yeah, I did not expect that.
And then we
at
also
all.
have the Cobra Commander limited series, which tracks a very interesting incarnation of this character, where he is an outsider who was admitted to Cobra Law, which is anti-technology organics only society. So I'm sure as far as the tomes goes, that Nia would be all in support of Cobra Law.
Oh, no doubt.
I don't know. They're weird too. I want a balance, you know.
You're saying you don't want to be a weird snake person?
No, I mean, I've always, car, though. I've always said I'm like well, he was Commander Adama at that time. You know, I'm not against computers. They're not networked on the you know.
Indeed.
How do you feel about snakes?
Actually, I don't like them. I actually don't.
I don't like them either.
Yeah, I actually, if there's a thing, I have a big phobia. I don't like snakes, and I don't like plants with big thorns because I as a kid I had nightmares of like thorns going into my eyes.
Oh,
I don't know. It's a very weird thing. Yeah, I still have them every so often, but yes, I'm like I'm like Indiana Jones.
So you're saying you would not recruit the snake people to fight the machines?
It's a tough.
Just let them do their own thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's you're in a rock and a hard place on that one, and then you add cats on Roombas, and I just don't know what to do. So, you know.
All right. So anyway, Cobra Law is organics only society. They're very anti-technology, and Cobra Commander is seen as kind of a blasphemer because not only is he an outsider, but he's got in his possession some forbidden technology that he's been making stuff out of, and the big reveal is that forbidden technology is an armless Megatron.
Yes,
he's holding captive, and it's through reverse engineering Megatron's Cybertronian technology that he learns of Energon and its abilities as a power source. So, Cobra Commander, he's out in the world making his moves and trying to build up an army. He has an encounter with the Dreadnoks, which does not go well for them. And, he gets access to an Energon supply and ends up teaming up with Deathstroke to put everything together and make an army. And then over in Cobra Law, Megatron awakens and busts out of there and grabs one of his arms and just wrecks them snake people and shows them the power of technology.
Yes.
Does his own squishy. He does his own version of the squishy too. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then finally, we also have the Energon Special that is 3 sort of short stories, one about each of the various series, and it kind of ties together some background, and particularly in the Transformers, it's like, hey, do you like seeing all these named Transformers that die? Let's have some more die. Just to really drive it home. Let's just blow them away.
Oh no!
Did you feel traumatized by the 1986 movie? The way we killed off a lot. We're just gonna do that again.
Yeah, imagine. The pitch was imagine that, but more. So
all the compressed trauma from the 1986 movie
revived.
and with greater detail. Not just like smoke coming out their mouth and their eyes going dark. It's just more and more detail. So,
oh my god!
Yeah.
When Cup gets blasted through the face, that's just like
yo.
Geez.
Oh, wait till we into episode issue 9. That's all I'm gonna say.
I felt bad for Huffer. Like,
This is
a valiant effort.
And Warpath too, dude. It's like and this is after where we're talking about tonight, but still. Holy shit! They don't hold back, man. The violence in this is
and I had those 2 toys as a kid. I had Warpath.
Yeah,
and
they knew.
And I had Huffer. I was like, oh, because I always thought Warpath was cool because he was the little mini tank. So it was unfortunate, but hey, yeah. I mean,
tough times.
By that time that you saw that happen, from the first episode or for first issue, you knew what you were in for when it came to this, because it's not your It's not your grandfather's Transformers.
No, sir.
The
The
heart
question
and
is,
soul.
does it have heart and soul? Yes.
Yeah, the heart and soul guy. I don't know how he would feel about this one because there's just not a lot of. Well, there's hearts, but they're just spread all over the
There's
place.
hearts.
And there's a lot of
all over the
disappearing
map.
souls.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of disappearing souls in this.
So, having done this summary, I'll turn over to our guest, Fred. Why don't you give us your impressions on Energon Universe as a whole, the connections, and then, your impressions on each of these 4 series?
Yeah, I was happily surprised with this. I didn't think we could get a good of a book as we would from coming from the IDW. As many people know, I've been a staunch advocate for the IDW books. But, man, the Skybound has really blown me away. Void Rivals was a really good shock to the system because it's like an original concept that's really, really good, and it ties in really, really well with these 2 franchises. I will admit I am not the biggest G.I. Joe fan. I admit it. So there are things that I will probably have missed, and you guys may have picked up on that I didn't. But the writing in those G.I. Joe books, specifically Cobra Commander, excellent. Yes. I was enthralled with that book the entire time. Woo! And of course, my the biggest thing I am a fan of is the Transformers book. Easily some of the best written Transformers media we have ever gotten.
Yes, sir.
Probably will. The fact that I think one of the biggest things, I think I talked to you about this, Sobro, was the fact that the war feels like a war.
Yes.
There is a back and forth. It's traumatic. It is heavy. Both sides get it. When the Decepticons get a 1-up, the Autobots come back.
Yeah.
When you think that they're down in the dumps, there's no way of them coming back. They get to 1-up the Decepticons. And then when you think the Autobots are on top, then the Decepticons come up with something. The constant back and forth. We touched upon it in the IDW books, but I never really felt it like I did with the Transformers.
You could feel the economy.
You've never felt it in any of them.
Yes.
Because you always feel that the Decepticons always have the upper hand, and that the Autobots are always on their heels, but somehow Optimus is able to keep them together. But you see in this one, it's like both sides are traumatized, like they're done. It is true. It is a true war, and it's a true war.
And a lot of
between the 2 of them.
A lot of the animated incarnations, following that G1 formula, like going back to G1, where both sides are pretty evenly matched.
Mm-hmm.
So, that gets kind of tiresome after a while. So I really enjoyed seeing the Autobots on the defensive and, seeing Optimus just be so world weary. Like, this is the saddest Optimus I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Man, this is the I will go on record and say this is the best Optimus Prime you've ever
He's the most empathic Optimus we've ever had. I'll be straight with you. I am so on board for this. This Optimus is such a refreshing return to the Optimus of old, but even then he has a lot of
He's much better than that.
He's like evolved from that point. And just to see him operate and to see how he the moment with Spike and him talking about the deer that he accidentally stepped on, and him being on a world that's so fragile and organic and being different from where he's at, and him having to be mindful of every step he takes, and just how he cares about protecting the place, especially since him being there is put it in the target for the Decepticons to do whatever they want, so he feels partially responsible. This Prime has such depth to them. If we're blessed with enough Peter Cullen life for him to voice this version of him,
man,
that'll bring him full
God,
circle.
Please,
as all I ask. If they ever animate this, seeing Peter Cullen do this, I hear Peter Cullen's voice in my head when I read this comic every month, including yesterday.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, it is pure Cullen. I think Cullen would have a blast doing this version of the character. But Fred, back to you. I'm so sorry.
But it's and there's a lot of things that are changed and modified, like with the with each individual one of these series, like with G.I. Joe, with Baroness, and of course the thing with Cobra Commander. And then the major thing to point out with like Transformers is the fact that the war has not been going on for a while. It's only been going on, I think it was like 200 or 500 years, not even.
A couple centuries, yeah. It's not a million years like the animated series.
Yeah. And so Prime, and Prime is a relatively new Prime. He had like just got the mantle. So it's like, I think one of the things that I've remarked on is that the fact that this Optimus Prime, like we all know the speech, the freedom is the right of all sentient beings, and you know it's the thing. He said the thing. He did the thing. But I feel like this Prime, when it gets said in this book, it's gonna be an earned moment because this Prime means every single one of his words. This Optimus is just. It's emotional. He feels the weight of the war. He feels the weight of the lives that are at stake in this whole thing. And it's just, I mean, I don't mean to go into spoilers, but
by all means,
when you see that full page of when he's like, it's time to fight back, and he has the arm of Megatron attached to him, dude, I lost it. It was one of the oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So imagine the writers were meeting on that one. Like, who suggested that? Like, okay, Prime gets injured, his arm's bad, so what do? Well, don't we have Megatron's arm with his cannon?
I love seeing him go double blasting with Megatron's cannon and his own rifle. We of course have to talk about the moment that preceded this, the fact that in very 8th MS Team style, which they do acknowledge in the back of the book, Optimus ripped off his own damaged arm to use it as a blunt weapon, which necessitated him having to attach Megatron's arm in its place.
Daniel Warren Johnson is a huge Gundam fan, for those that don't know. He took a lot of his inspiration for his art in this book from Gundam The Origin. He has a YouTube channel. If you go and watch the behind the scenes of the first 3 issues of Transformers, he takes the first issue out of Gundam The Origin specifically to show people where his inspiration comes from when it comes to Yaz and other sources as well. But he said 8th MS Team is one of his favorite animes, and he took that straight from that shit.
It's just, and one last thing to remark on for me is the violence itself, and we touched upon this with like the war and stuff, but like the level of writing with the violence and stuff like that is very pertinent. It's excellent. Like the writing, the characters are so well written, and then when the moments hit where a character death happens, and the fighting itself, even, and I'm not just speaking on the Transformers book, but like even in Cobra Commander, it's the stuff that goes on in that book is just, my God.
And Duke too. I mean, the stuff in the pit. I mean, when you're like, whoa, and
this
it's
is
not
a lot
gratuitous.
more violence that you would expect for these two like very broad media franchises.
But it's not violence just for the sake of violence. It's not just it's not gratuitous.
It's not shock value.
It's not just there. Oh, we're just gonna. It's like it's part of the story.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we talk about the part where Huffer and Warpath and Cup. You know, there's a reason why they end up getting killed, because they're sacrificing themselves willingly or unwillingly to, you know,
help
Alita. Yeah. To get to, you know, to somebody. So it's like, what? That's what I thought was good about even the Duke book. Like, because that, if there's a place where you're just going to have the ultra violence and just for the sake of having the ultra violence, that's the one. That's really the one. And it made sense. So.
Yeah. And just the little character moments too. Like with the whole thing with Jetfire where he's just stuck. He's stuck in.
Yes.
Robot mode, and he's like, I can't see. He freaks out. He can't see anything. He was like, I can't see the stars anymore. And it's like, oh my God,
that shit.
Like, please don't leave me alone. It's so dark.
Yes. Oh, that, and then like to give some props to Void Rivals. I mean, the stuff with you see the silent moments with this book where you see character expressions and stuff like that. It's all, this whole thing is amazing. It is. I am glad people are hopping on to this and recognizing this book now, because this thing is going places. I was hesitant because I have been a big proponent of not having the G.I. Joe crossover with Transformers. I'm like, let them be their own thing. It's silly. I know it's silly, but it's just like, it doesn't lead to good things. I've had experience with the IDW books where we had those crossovers. But this
in the classic Marvel one.
Yeah, that wasn't good either.
Which was well intentioned, but got weird too. So yeah, and I remember I was at the beginning of those IDW crossovers, and that actually made me lose interest of it because it started to get really weird.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was the sake of
the
doing
thing is,
it.
like, obviously these crossovers are a corporate mandated thing because Hasbro owns these big properties and wants to make use of them. But just because something is corporate mandated doesn't mean that you can't find an organic way to make it all work. And I think that Energon Universe really has.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely. But Fred, any other thoughts in the meantime?
No, I think I've whinged and moaned enough, so I'll let you guys have the floor now.
I got a question for you,
buddy.
Obviously, Transformers is the book that you like most.
Yes.
What non-Transformers book after that do you like the best out of the other three that we're limiting to?
It's got to be Cobra Commander.
I knew it.
Cobra Commander. That book. I love that book from start to finish. It is so good. The stuff that changes and stuff like that. I love it. I love that book to bits. I think it's the second best book out of the whole thing so far.
With the first one being Transformers.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How would you rank the remainder then?
I would say Void Rivals would be my third pick. Duke, I'm sorry. I'm just not the biggest fan of Duke. I like what they're doing with it. I can't argue that it's not well written. I like what they're doing. Like we kind of talked about this before, where it's more of a cerebral kind of book.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's Duke the Winter Soldier.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
you get those vibes hard.
Mm-hmm.
Except it, that's the biggest thing with it. But
yeah. So I would say Duke is like my least favorite. I'm still gonna keep up with it. And Void Rivals, there's so much there's potential with this title.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just because of my placement for it or anything like that. I think the reveals that happen in this book are amazing. I wish, and I know it's a marketing thing so that people buy the book.
Mm-hmm.
They were advertising the fact that Jetfire was in the book, but I wish nobody knew that Jetfire was in that first issue.
Yeah.
That moment would have been amazing for the community.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because no one did know until the day of release, and then all news outlets started to talk about it, which is how I got clued in on the Energon Universe.
Yeah,
because I was seeing headlines. It's like new Transformers comic continuity starting today, and it's like Void Rivals. What the fuck is this? And then I see in the headline that in the first paragraph they're talking about Jetfire making a guest appearance, and that piqued my interest. But I kind of just weaned off for a while just to let it build up, and then you came to me and said, "Bro, you need to get the fuck on this book, and you need to start reading Transformers. This shit just dropped, and it's fucking amazing." And then I went back and read all the Void Rivals, and then I read the first couple issues of Transformers, and I was sold, especially after issue 2 of Transformers, when seeing the crossover moment, and that is like, oh no. And it's like, this has got me written all over. I love a good crossover, so personally, seeing how well constructed this seemed to be, after reading just those short issues, is like, I'm on this. And then of course Duke and Cobra Commander started up, and I was on top of those when they dropped. But yeah, man, it's an amazing thing, and yeah, they could keep the genie in that bottle forever. There's no way that day it was getting out.
but the stuff with like the oh my god, words, Freddie, use them. Skuxolator.
Yes.
With him, the bounty hunter.
Yes. Skuxoid is the bounty hunter, and then Slazardo later with his appearance.
Yeah.
I was like,
and the Quintessons. I remember
Yes.
messaging you like, dude, you're not gonna believe the cameo that's in this book, bro. And then it is. I couldn't believe it because I was like, oh my god, they are tapping in to some characters here, man.
Deep cut.
So it's man. I'm excited. I'm really excited for Void Rivals to see what they go from there. I hope the payoff is good. I have some theories, but I'll say it again another time. But that's how I really feel about these four right now so far.
All right, Sobra, why don't you give us your impressions of the shared universe as a whole, and also what you think about the four titles?
Brother, gladly. I'm just gonna rank the four titles right now. My number one title is Cobra Commander.
I knew it.
What they accomplished in that, dude, just to see that how they renovated that character is amazing. Because he was just a joke in the TV show, and I didn't read that Larry Hama comic, although I'm reading it now from where Skybound picked it up. But I haven't read all the way back in, and I know he's a much more formidable character in that and other versions of G.I. Joe. But to see how he is in that book, he can't fucking lose. He can't. It's like he anticipates every scenario. He's Walter White crossed with fucking Tony Stark, and that's a dangerous combination. There's a particular scene in the 4th issue where he takes the Energon, puts it in those Insecticon minis, and turns it into a goddamn gauntlet and shoots the shit out of Nemesis Enforcer. That panel is amazing. Let me just tell you something. The artwork in both Joe books, I think, is the best of them all. I love Daniel Warren Johnson's work as well, and I love the artwork in Void Rivals as well. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about the way it's colored and depicted that it looks like a cartoon, but has this hard-ass edge to it that just blows my mind. But the colors in Duke, if you've noticed in Duke where some of the panel work, especially in issue 3, where Duke is jumping between bullets to get the gun, that shit is off the chain. Just the way they laid it out, and how there's things in focus and things out of focus. They really take account panel placement and how it tells the story in these books. Almost so that it has an indie feel to it that I just absolutely love. But in Cobra Commander, it's there and it's present and it's amazing. And just the intensity of that story and to follow a villain who's compelling just hooked me from jump. My second favorite book is Transformers, of course. I fucking love that book, man. It's it tugs at the heartstrings, but Daniel Warren Johnson is so punk rock and has this pageantry that he brings to Transformers in general that that he, of course, takes this energy from wrestling because he's a big wrestling fan, as you can see, like many wrestling moves depicted in the book. Yeah. But the way he introduces characters and his character economy, the way he is not overwhelming us with a bunch of characters, and that we may gain some characters, but we may lose some too. Again, I mentioned episode 9. Issue 9 that just dropped yesterday. We might lose some people, man, as we gain some people. So it's like, man, as much as you want to see new people coming to the fray, bro, you better get ready to lose some motherfuckers. Because Daniel Warren Johnson does not spare the rod. He has completely reawakened my PTSD from Transformers the movie in 1986. Every issue, I'm hanging on the fucking edge of the knife, waiting to see who's going to get aced. And I don't want to feel this way, but I feel this way when reading this book. But I love his I love the things that he does, especially with the onomatopoeia in the background. There's one particular moment after the crazy sacrifice that one particular character makes. I'll just say it because if you're watching this review, you've already read this. So Sparky makes the ultimate sacrifice toward in issue 6. And I don't know how he figures out by walking into the goddamn Matrix will help to solve a bunch of problems, but he does that and tells Prime, make sure to look after my son and the planet Earth, and steps into the Matrix, and then it helps to repair Optimus, and then Optimus gets off that fucking the med bay bed, which they re-invoked the feeling of Optimus Prime about to die in Transformers the movie in that moment. By the way, I didn't appreciate that, Daniel. Very deliberate, brother. But I enjoyed what you did after that, especially when Prime got up, picked up the gat, and then in the background it says, "You know the song." It's like, fuck yeah, you do. I put it on. That very second, I put that shit on and continue to read, and just to see how he takes out Devastator. That whole fight was a son of a bitch, and how that helped to save Carly. After my man Cliffjumper couldn't pull the trigger on Starscream, which I wish he had, but I understand why he didn't, because he had a moment of clarity at that moment, realizing the cycle of violence is always going to continue if he perpetuates that shit. However, Starscream needed to fucking go.
but it also set up that better thing that happens later with Soundwave. So
yes, sir. In issue 7, one of the best fucking moments ever. But it was such a great conclusion to the 6 issue run of Transformers. Especially that melancholy moment at the end where Spike wakes up from his medicated sleep after his surgery and asks where his dad is. That fucking broke me, dude. It also broke me that DWJ dedicated the issue to Peter Cullen in that very space too. So I thought that was super cool. But Transformers is fantastic. Moving down, next one is Duke. I love Duke to death. I think that it's very well done. I definitely gets the ball rolling on the G.I. Joe side of things. I love this version of Duke, man. I didn't think they could pull it off, but they did. They made Duke compelling. I never was one of those Duke haters. But if you had to tell me what leader in G.I. Joe you prefer overall, I'd say Flint, because Flint was the shit. But and Lady J, of course. But Duke is definitely got me. I think he held it down in his 5-issue series. I love his back and forth with him and Clutch being old friends, and then meeting up with getting captured by Stalker and Rock and Roll, and his interactions with Hawk, and later on his confrontation with Destro and fighting the Bat. And completely blowing Destro's mind when he tells him, it's like, where do you got the transforming jet at? And Destro was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then
that's a great idea.
And then that plot point carries over into Cobra Commander, which is like, yo, remember when Duke was telling us about this crazy jet that transformed? It's like, yeah, man, I don't know where this is taking us, but it might lead us to that shit. So it was very interesting to see how organic things are connecting in the Energon universe from one book to the next. But Duke really helped to establish that, especially since he shows up in Transformers 2, and then we get to see his story play out. And then we find out at the end that he's been given the task of possibly taking out the Autobots and Decepticons. And his last line in that book is the best shit ever. He says, "We'll destroy them all." I was like, I fucking believe you, Duke, but you're not going to pull it off, though. You're not gonna pull it off, but I believe in your spirit, buddy. And I thought of Neo too, because Duke is kind of a part of the tomes in this particular case, because he's taken on AI and robots in general, and he beat the Bat, so it's good to see him take on one of those, even though it was
he was traumatized.
Yes,
his friend was killed by Starscream.
Yeah.
So
he still is. He's still he's still got that trauma from this, which is one of the poignant moments of the book, especially that moment where he's in the jail and he's talking to the Baroness, and she's trying to get out of him what he's so haunted by, and he tells her that it's classified, but in the background you see a picture of Starscream squeezing the life out of fucking Captain Frosting, which is crazy. It was crazy. It's obscured in a sense, but you could see him his fists clenched with the body inside. So that shit lives with this man still to this day. So I cannot wait to see him take on. I can't wait to see him go to Farmingham and engage with the Autobots and how that's going to play out inevitably. But I don't mind him taking his sweet time. It's perfectly fine. Last but not least, Void Rivals. When I base it on the first 6 issues, Void Rivals is doing a lot of place setting. I love the look of the book and the vibe of the book. I think it's great. There's probably less dialogue in those books than anything else, but Robert Kirkman is very methodical with his story pacing, almost to his detriment, because I remember him talking about Invincible, and he was taking a long time to get to a major plot point, and his publisher told him, he's like, if you don't get to this shit soon, this book's gonna get canceled. So he got to that the very next issue, and he learned a very good lesson from that. So he keeps spiking certain things into the book to ramp it up from time to time. He recently did that in issue 9 with the appearance of a certain character who's got better things to do tonight than die. So I'm excited to see where that's gonna go. But I like the world building that he's doing in Void Rivals, and the two main characters, Solila and Derek, and Handroid too. Give it up to Handroid. He's fucking great. Just to see how they escape the planet to being captured momentarily, and then going back to the Sacred Ring, only for Solila to betray Derek momentarily until they both end up having to be on the run. Where they're at in the comic now is phenomenal, especially the last couple of issues. The cool thing that Void Rivals does that other issues don't, the other books don't, is that there are sometimes straight pages of paneling which tell a story without a word being spoken. And I dig that. I think that's a very cool way of storytelling. The color palettes in that book are very cool. That must be an homage to the classic G.I. Joe. Oh yeah, 21.
Yeah, where there's no dialogue.
Yeah, enough said issue. Yeah, that shit is great. Yeah. And it's a fantastic way of conveying your point. I think it's slower paced than the other books. But if you keep your patience with it, or if you wait stretches and read the trades, I think you're gonna be entertained. The first 6 issues are cool because it kind of sets up the conspiracy that is behind everything, which is that both governments are working together to perpetuate this war for some reason we don't know. It may have to do with something having connection to the Quintessons. We don't know that either. But my theory, and it's a wild theory, I think in that void that's within the Sacred Ring, I think the threat is in there and it's trapped in there because of the war that's going on. I think it's Unicron. That's just my crazy theory on that. But that's the only threat I can think of that could threaten everybody basically if it got out. So they're doing their job by keeping it there, by keeping this war going. But the regular populace doesn't know that, and they don't know that that it's benefiting everybody to keep this war going. But how long they can keep it going, I don't know. Where it's going to take both Solila and Derek, I don't know. They're in the wasteland now, and shit is happening, and it could very well be that one of them ends up crossing over to another storyline soon enough. The way Cobra Commander ends, we're going to get a tie back into Void Rivals, I'm pretty sure, especially since Cobra Law is now left to go into space to find out what's going on with Cybertron, and I think more than likely that's going to be their invitation into that story, at least with Pythona anyway. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. But yeah, those 4 books are great, man. I think they kicked off this first arc magnificently. I like how methodical the story is, and how they've been very astute with placing everything. I will say there's some timeline issues. One of the timeline issues is that in Cobra Commander, at the very end, when we do see Cobra Law, they say they haven't heard from Nemesis Enforcer in a few days. My question is, before that, we saw Cobra Commander set up in Springfield. I was like, how did you set this up in just a few days? Unless there's like some kind of timey-wimey crazy shit that's going on. Because before they mentioned that, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. I would have thought there's another time jump that's maybe months in the future, but it might have been just a few days, unless it's just an oversight that they made. But outside of that, I can't really complain, man. It's been a fantastic read, and I'm riveted every fucking Wednesday when a new issue drops, especially now that we are moving into new miniseries for G.I. Joe, like Scarlet and Destro. But we'll talk about that later. I'm going to toss it back to you guys, man. Who's next to go?
Nia, why don't you tell us your thoughts on the universe and your thoughts on the 4 titles?
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, Sobro hasn't been shutting up about this for a long, long time. So it's good to finally see that he was, yeah, I mean, what he was saying, I mean, he was definitely validated. I think between everything that Sobro and Fred has said, I think what works here is the crossover, the way they do it. I think just works so well. I think actually, to me, I believe that Void Rivals is probably the most important book.
Yes.
I don't know if necessarily at this point it's the best book, but I think it's the most important one because I feel that it's the shoelace, bringing the sides of the shoe together. You know, I think that's what's gonna happen.
I think it's the spine of the whole universe. Honestly, I think it's the spine of it all.
Yeah. So, you know, I think, Transformers is good in the fact of it seems so familiar, but it's so different. Like, we've seen the ARC thing before. You know, it's G1, it's the movie. We've seen all the stuff with, you know, the Teletran one, but it's different. It's a different set. I think the thing that really stood out to me about it is the Transformers don't understand the world that they're in. You know, in every other thing of in any other incarnation of Transformers that I've been exposed to, when they wind up on Earth, they kind of already know, oh, there's humans here, this and that. But the fact, like I think it was Fred mentioned, when Optimus steps on the deer inadvertently, and realizes like how fragile the world is, and you know, I think that's the bigger thing is the fact that they seem truly alien. Not the fact of just they're aliens because they're sentient robots, but the fact that they're truly aliens and they don't understand the world. And you know, the fact that they're both sides are traumatized from years or centuries of war. Now they're finding themselves on this planet that they know nothing about with these organic creatures that they know nothing about. And you know, I think this is a great version of Starscream.
Whoa!
I think it's in terms of like the character, like he's always kind of the, you know, if only I was the leader, things would go better. And I mean, it was always like this, but I mean, he's a psychopath in this. Dude, I mean, he is just 100%. Yeah, I mean, and you know, his being unfit to lead the Decepticons is the fact of he's just unstable.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's not only unstable to humans and stuff and Autobots, but he's unstable to Decepticons. See Skywarp. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I think I like this version of him, even though he's horrible. But I think the way that they do the character, it's better than just the whiny, sniveling, you know, stab you in the back when I get this. I mean, he is just, and he gets his comeuppance. I mean, I saw that issue later.
Oh boy,
where he gets his comeuppance. You know, yeah, Optimus. I think this is just the war-weary Optimus. And, you know, he's heroic, but he's that war-weary heroic. Like, every other thing, it's like, I will always stand for truth and justice, and all sentient beings have the rights, and all this. I mean, he's always just so inspirational. And can you really do that the whole entire time? That you're seeing your friends get murdered. Oh, and spoiler alert, Bumblebee's dead in like pretty much the first part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so if you think that this is going to be the classic story, yeah, there's things that seem similar, but
they spared Cliffjumper but killed Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Usually Cliff is getting murked within the first few issues, and now he's like the Bumblebee stand-in, and he's friends with Carly, which Carly is not. Carly and him are the new Spike and Bumblebee. It's wild, man. Yeah. It's fucking wild. Go ahead.
But they're not even that type, because there's a point, because like you said, he couldn't pull the trigger on Starscream, and she has an issue with it.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because her friends, her father, and everybody's getting murdered because of these things. And she's like, look, you had the chance. Your friends got murdered by this guy, and you let him for what? And it's that ethical dilemma. You know, okay, he's bad, and you know, but does it make it right that I take his life? I get it. I get what they're trying to do there. Absolutely. It makes sense. Duke, yes, I joke because Duke at the beginning seems like Duke the Winter Soldier. And I think with this one, the thing I got out of him is what makes this book good is the fact that he is uncomfortable. Because here is a guy that is the best of the best.
Right.
The best of the best on Earth. But his friend gets killed. He can't figure out what to do. The government and organizations that he trusts are just telling him, yeah, get over it. Don't worry about it. And he's starting to question, just like you saw with Steve Rogers. I mean, he's questioning, what am I doing? I mean, he is the prototype all-American patriotic soldier that does what's right. And then, he finally gets to a point where he can't win, and he's trying to get answers, and for the first time in his life, they won't give them to him. And they're telling him, don't worry about it. That's what made that thing. That's what made that so good. I think that really takes the layer of that character, and because it puts him in an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
Just like it puts Optimus in an uncomfortable situation. Yes, he's the heroic Prime who's always looking for the best thing, but his friends are getting killed. He's been going through this. It's not getting any better. This war does not get any better. So, and now he's in this situation where he's seeing, people and creatures getting involved in their shenanigans, and they're getting killed. So it's weighing on him. Cobra Commander, yeah, this is interesting. I mean, I will tell you this. I think the best version of him is the Cobra Commander with the freaking hat and the trench coat.
Dude,
he
yes.
looks so cool.
I want a figure of that. I really do.
So cool. Yeah, better than the hooded one, all the other variations with the helmets, I think that is the coolest representation I've ever seen of him.
And they had him as Old Snake in the last issue, which is wild. Like the way he looked like in the episode of Transformers he's in. But the blue version, I think, is like the coolest one. That shit was mad nice.
But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. You look at the G.I. Joe movie, it was always weird to me, the Cobra Law storyline.
Yeah.
It's shoehorned in, it gets weird when they when they bring it into the to the series, to the reoccurring series after that.
It's a big sticking point for a lot of Joe fans too. For those that read the comics, they absolutely hate Cobra Law. But for those who watch the animated series and that's their main interest into G.I. Joe, they don't mind it as much. I think it fits in this universe though, because of all the other races and whatnot that are here.
Well, no, I actually, that was going to be my point. Is I didn't think. I think that it works well in this because I thought it was stupid in the movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was even stupid in the series.
Yeah.
But I think here it makes more sense to me because you have a crossover going. Mm-hmm. You know that there's Transformers. You know that there's this whole thing with the Void Rivals with those people. So it doesn't seem as weird. And
the scope is much more bigger.
Yeah.
With these.
Yeah. Yeah. So and it just doesn't. I mean, it doesn't seem as stupid as it did in the prior versions. So I thought that was a great point with it. So that was good. I like the things with the dreadnoughts. I like what they did with them. Instead of them being just the bumbling idiots that they always were, that we always see in other things. And I know in later incarnations, I know in the classic Marvel Larry Hama comics and the IDW, they were much more ruthless. But in this one, they seem different. They seem more believable to me. Mm-hmm. So I think that was kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, the fact of how conniving and how just super intelligent. Once again, it's a better version of Cobra Commander, just like it's a better version of Starscream.
You see the kind of people you recruited, by the way?
Yeah, I mean...
Holy shit. You're insurrectionist?
Yeah, exactly. But... Yeah, and that's a parallel. I mean, I guess that's social commentary right there.
It sure is.
But it's much more different because he's actually intelligent, and the social commentary is a bumbling fool. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I don't necessarily agree with your whole thing on the time skip thing or how the thing came with Springfield. I think with this Cobra Commander, the little bit that you see of him, it wouldn't surprise me that he had this going on for a long, long time.
Fair.
Like, he just seems like that guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's not the bumbling fool from the classic cartoons and things like that. So yeah. Yeah, and Void Rivals, you're like, okay, so first off, you're like, okay, the name's weird, okay, but then it makes sense as you go in there, and then as it starts to go and they start bringing in certain things and all the cameos, and it's the classic, this war has been going on for years or centuries and nobody knows why, and nobody's seen what each other looks like, and then it reminds me of the classic Star Trek, where it's like they finally see the Romulans. Oh, we don't even know what they look like, and then they find out, and then it's like it's the same shock. Oh, they look like Spock. Whoa, So, but yeah, I think, I mean, it's pretty interesting. In terms of ranking, holy crap, this is gonna be tough.
Oh shit, here we go.
I think at this point, I would say I actually have to say probably Transformers.
Yes.
I think Void Rivals, then Cobra Commander, and I don't know. I think 3A and 3B are Cobra Commander and Duke. I think Cobra Commander is very good, but I think the Duke one is, I could see where people would have some issues with it, but I feel that even because it's more of a different play on Duke. Yeah, I think I gotta put time at 3, both at 3. I know that's a cop out, but I think at this point, and I'm sure as we go further in, these things will change. They probably will. But yeah, I think that's, I mean, overall, like has been stated, I mean, it's something when you hear about it, you're like, oh, okay, this has been done before. Let's just see. And then you're like, whoa, okay, there's actually thought put into this. And, it's like I said, it wasn't violent just to be violent. It wasn't, didn't have exposition and cameos just to have them. It makes kind of sense, and I think at this point, when you're done with the first arc, you're like, there is a way that, okay, so you have a U.S. fighting force that's similar to what we have in our world. Now they're fighting sentient robots from another galaxy and another planet, and then there's this crazy weird snake people land that was like living underneath us. Who are, basically have shunned society because of technology and things like that. It kind of makes sense, and they're on a collision course. And then you have this
you got two different factions of G.I. Joe, one looking over the other too, which is like kind of crazy that Hawk would arrange for that. So that's interesting too.
Yeah, that's that, and I think that's actually a point that I'm glad you reminded me of that, because even with G.I. Joe, you see it's the beginning of it, and we know it existed before because we see the pit. So there was a prior version of this.
Yep.
But it's no longer there, and yeah, you're right. It's not they're not the whole band going from, we're just going to protect the world from evil and stuff like that. You have one looking over the other and they don't trust each other. Yep. And then, like was stated, who's a recruit? Baroness? Where'd that come from?
Right.
I mean,
she looks so corny. She looks so corny too. Like, it's like I can't get with that outfit she has to wear. It's like, come on, man, y'all gotta redesign that shit. She looks.
But she's gonna do the double cross.
Yeah, it's coming.
You think she killed Major Blood, but she only grazed it and took out his eye.
Yep, and he wants
so
revenge.
It's like, yeah. So there you go. But that's my say.
Shit,
Chris.
So, I will agree with everything that everybody said, and say that it's good to see all the thought being put together in tying this universe together organically, and not in a way that the big two like to do with these big, gigantic, universe-ending crossovers.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing their own stuff, and some of it intersects, but you can see that it's part of this bigger universe, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be so deeply tied in the way that Cape books do.
Right.
Yeah.
Transformers, it's a lot more violent than I would have expected for a Transformers title, and
extremely.
Love that the drawing is rougher and it feels drawn and colored much more like an indie comics title than you would expect like a mainstream media property to be.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of which, Chris, how did you feel about the artist change for Transformers at issue 7? They changed to Jorge Corona started drawing it. Daniel Warren Johnson still he still does the writing, but Jorge Corona is the new artist, and I think it's very similar to Daniel's artwork. To be honest. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of visual continuity. It also feels like a very crunchy comic. Like, the way that the combat is drawn, the damage that these characters take, it feels just a lot more real. It just feels like it has more stakes. Like there's a better sense of scale than I've seen in other comics and in animated series. It just really gives you, an understanding of how gigantic the bigger Transformers are. And, this comes up later when Carly is talking to RC of just like, oh, but you people are just like gigantic and you have all this power. And it's like, well, it's not that easy.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate, the little deep cuts of characters and references, but doesn't go overboard. I think that the big mystery is going to come to light in Void Rivals, and I'm curious to see how that one develops. Personally, I think that I would rank Void Rivals as my number one out of the 4 because
nice.
It's a completely new story, completely new spin. Like I said at the start of the segment, really gives in those first 2 issues like big Enemy Mine vibes.
Yes, it does.
That's where I had the problem because even though it's being done differently, you kind of in the end know where G.I. Joe and Transformers is going to happen. It's like unless they do something completely drastic, but yeah, I mean, any of the comics that could have been really the failure, that was the one that had the highest probability, and I think it pulled it off excellent. And I think it's actually going to get better, even better as it moves on, because it feels like it's the glue to the whole thing.
Yeah, I think so. I like the slow reveal of elements. We get in the first episode that short cameo by Jetfire that kind of gets things going. Then in later issues, it's like, oh hey, here's some fucking Quintessons, and these fuckers are around doing the shit they normally do, and here's some bounty hunters, and it really just like slowly feeds you these elements rather than like here's a parade of people and characters that you've seen from different incarnations. So I appreciate that's done in a more natural way. And as far as the 2 G.I. Joe titles, I see them as being cut from a very similar cloth. The style is definitely grittier. Duke definitely feels like some Winter Soldier vibes, and also it feels more like those like 70s political thrillers that inspired Winter Soldier than even Winter Soldier actually was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like it actually has that look of indie comics that are colored that way.
3 Days of the Condor and stuff like that. Yeah.
and it's interesting seeing Duke go on that journey, and of course, he sounds totally insane, talking about a plane turning into a giant robot and crushing his buddy, and it's like, yes, that does sound insane, except for the fact that we as the reader objectively know it to be true.
Very true.
So it's always interesting, like seeing a character describe very real situations, but in a way that just makes them sound utterly deranged to anyone who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Well, I mean, I've always felt that no matter what, Duke was always the leader of G.I. Joe. I mean, he was always the field commander and stuff like that. Even when you had Flint, I mean, you always felt like he was the number one. And it feels with this, like, that's a good way that you're saying it's their companion books, because it's almost like, I almost feel like they're going the route of like Bruce Wayne and the Joker. Like, in a lot of ways, they're kind of the same person. If you think about Duke and they have similarities. Him and Cobra Commander.
They're both very driven.
Yeah,
they both are dedicated. Highly intelligent. They're both dedicated to fulfilling what they see as their mission, no matter how many people that puts them at odds with.
Charismatic.
They're very charismatic.
Yeah, but
yeah,
one's evil and one's good. Or as good, better. I don't know necessarily good, but better. So yeah, that's the way I kind of feel it. So,
and then looking at the Cobra Commander series, I would say, I think that one is just the absolute wildest ride of all four, because that one goes so many places, like so many unexpected places in those 5 issues.
I remember talking to you when you read the panel, the forest ranger. What happened to the forest ranger in issue 2? We were talking about that shit in chat, and you were blown away at how violent that book was. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Or just in the very first issue, just a guy whose car that he wants, and to see the blood splat, and it's like, and then when Dreadnoks, when they get their asses whooped, it's just like, this guy has no hesitation about using violence to achieve, and he's not going to let anybody stop him. And I love, at the end of the series when people in Cobra Law are dealing with Megatron, and they're like, man, this guy really fucked us over. Like, this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like he definitely is a mastermind, and he is a credible threat compared to the old 80s cartoon where he was just a buffoon. But of course, reading it, I still hear Chris Latta in my head.
Yeah, no doubt.
But like more menacing. And there's some great moments throughout, like when he's getting tortured and they draw the bloody smile and eyes on his mask, which that was a creepy moment. Or I love when you have some of these panels that are it felt very Watchmen.
Yeah.
There's some panels showing his perspective when the visor gets cracked.
Yeah, that's right.
That was nice artistic flourish of like seeing the world through his eyes, but with that crack cutting through the panel. That was a really nice flourish.
Yeah.
And the ending just really sets up a lot more problems, and it ends on an interesting note of this partnership between Cobra Commander and Destro, and Destro thinking that he's playing Cobra Commander, and I think he obviously haven't read the Destro series. I don't believe it's out yet at the time that we're recording this.
Next
but
week, yeah.
I think he's going to be in for surprise if he thinks that he's going to play Cobra Commander, because Cobra Commander does not seem like someone you can fuck with.
No.
Which is refreshing, because it always seems that Destro always had the hand up on him, and it seems like in other incarnations, and they just really show you just really feel the capitalist pig and just war profiteering of Destro in this. Like he just seems like the classic war profiteer in this. Just master manipulator of keeping war and engagements going on so he can make more and more money creating weapons. And yeah.
The thing about Destro is he seems to be an apple. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm eager to see how things play out in his and what kind of sneaky things he'll be up to, and if that'll end up working out for him or not.
Yeah, and I guess the twins show up, right? I mean, because they're kind of brought up in one of the, I think at Duke. I think you see like a dossier of the twins and some of the other rogues gallery of Cobra.
You see him also.
So I'm wondering how they come in there.
You see him in the last issue of Cobra Commander as well. Yeah, they're definitely showing up in Destro as well, and he has to deal with some kind of thing having to do with them. So, yeah, it's gonna be cool to see Extensive Enterprises show up in this in some way, and it's got me intrigued. It seems like Destro had a better baton pass from Cobra Commander to his book than say Duke to Scarlet. Scarlet kind of puts you in a brand new situation, which is cool too. I don't have a problem with that at all. But it's I'm intrigued for Destro.
All right, folks. Any other thoughts about Energon Universe Year 1?
Man, the one thing that is got me worried, and it's another crazy theory of mine. It goes back to when Sparky walked into the Matrix, right? And this could be just because it's the Matrix that caused this, where him sacrificing his own life to fuel the Matrix and recharge Optimus Prime and fix him up, led me to think if human life or just life in general makes the best fuel source for Energon in general. Like, we know Energon has an effect on organic life because of what we've seen in Cobra Commander. But at the same time, can you take living beings and convert them into Energon? And if so, do humans make the best source? Yeah, do humans make the best source of energy for Energon in period? Because if that turns out to be the case, that's a horrific scenario for human beings, especially if the Decepticons find out or Cobra Commander finds out about that. Then
that would be a dark turn.
It would be the darkest turn. I'm about 25% on that theory, to be quite honest. But if that turns out to be the truth, that's gonna cause wrinkles throughout all the books. So it's gonna be fascinating to see if that is the case.
Actually, the thing that I have the worst fear of, if we're going from this arc on, is the fear that I always have with successful things in comics is it becomes a business. Like the people are like, so the suits above are like, hey, we need more of these books, and they start shoehorning stuff, and then the quality goes down. Like, I don't care about like the art. Like, I know the art style changed, but that doesn't bother me. I've read comics enough in my life where it doesn't really big. But the problem with these big crossover things, and when you start having all these different limited series going into these ongoing series, is if it becomes too successful, it becomes too convoluted just because they're trying to sell books. And that's the biggest worry that I have. Yeah. But that is definitely a dark turn if it goes all Matrixy on us.
I think we're safe with that when it comes to Skybound, because I think IDW doesn't. I mean, I hate to say it, but they don't have the brass tacks to like stand up to Hasbro like Skybound and Image can, because like and the biggest failing of the IDW book back in the day was the fact that they did the crossover and they were forced to shoehorn in toy designs and stuff that Hasbro was putting out. I mean, the fact that Starscream changed his body to look like the revamped Transformers Armada toy that hit shelves when that book was going on during the Dark Cybertron arc.
Yeah.
And then like that's evidence of that. And then the G.I. Joe stuff, like, and it culminates there. And I think Skybound has enough gall and they got enough, and I think they've proven their point to where they don't need to kowtow to whatever Hasbro is trying to put out on the shelf to be like, oh well, we need to cross promote.
They are playing ball a little bit because in the Joe books they're using the classified designs for the G.I. Joe characters as opposed to in a Real American Hero where they use the classic designs instead. So
and I get it, they do, and I think they're playing well with that where they're paying respect to the Hasbro gods. So, but I do agree with you, Nina. Like that is a fear.
Always the danger. Too. Yeah, I mean,
it always is, man.
They could have the gall to stand up to him, but also Hasbro owns the likenesses of this and say, okay, great, we'll just stop it.
Yes,
like, that to me is the danger.
Yes, for sure.
But the issues Hasbro has been having, maybe they're going to be smarter about this and realize that this is not for kids. So it's probably better just to leave it, just to tap the other market that's out there for it.
Yeah, and I just hope they don't fall into the, well, this is good, this is selling with adults, well, why don't we expand our market and market it to kids? And I hope it don't come to that. But to kind of fall in line with you guys with the whole Matrix thing, I think the whole thing is the life begets life. And I think that's the whole cycle, death creates death and life gives life. And I think that's the whole purpose of this entire Energon universe. And I think that's the point with the Matrix and like how Spike went into the Matrix and stuff like that. And
well, that's how Optimus is he's gonna sell his line, because that'll be the big reveal. Is that it's all life is interconnected, even though it's in different forms. So you already see that with what they're writing.
And I think when we will get that moment when the Decepticons get their hands on the Matrix, and it's going to happen, and I'm gonna call it now, and I'll eat my shoe if I lose this bet. It's going to happen when Megatron returns to the Decepticons, because when that moment happens, the shit is going to hit the perpetual fan.
I'm really scared for Prime, dude. Because I'm actually legitimately scared for Prime. Because Megatron's wandering the planet with no eyes right now, with one arm in the fucking Arctic, looking for Starscream to whoop his ass, and wants his cannon back. Dude, when he shows up, someone's going. I'm going to say this right now. Someone's going to die when he fucking descends upon these motherfuckers. People are going to get aced.
And it's going to set up the redemption of my man Ultra Magnus.
Oh shit!
Yes,
that's what they're going to. You already see it. They're looking for him. See it, baby. That is going to be the bro right there. They're going to completely redeem his pathetic showing in the. In the original movie, Prime will die because he has to die. I mean, that's just how it works. And I'm sure Rodimus will show up too. So
well, he's been alluded to showing up. So who knows what Rodimus is going to do?
Yeah, he's looking for either Springer or Jetfire. According to the Energon special, where he makes that brief appearance. So I'm sure he's going to fold into the Void Rival storyline, and hopefully reunites with Springer real soon.
My headcanon of Megatron coming back is you just see him walking in the distance, coming onto the battlefield, and everybody just turning their guns on him, and it's the scene from End of Ava where it's the Unit 2 is just walking and everything. They're just unleashing everything, and she just keeps walking forward. I don't care. I'm here on a mission to make y'all.
He's gonna, they're setting that. Yeah, that would not surprise me if he just goes in and just completely decimates those Autobots and ends up with the Matrix, because it seems that way because there's a twist on all of this stuff. They're just taking the stuff that and then they're just changing it and letting the story flow. So. And it's going to happen to G.I. Joe too. Honestly, it would not surprise me if Duke finally dies. He will. It would not surprise me that he is
Yeah, it could
because
happen.
You just can't keep going on.
They wanted to kill him in the movie, the animated movie. They almost got away with it, but they pulled the cord on that before they released it.
Because outside of his boy getting killed, and then some of the nameless idiots that were with Major Blood, really you don't see any. There's really no impactful killings of any Joes that I remember in either one of those books.
Yeah.
Unless I'm wrong, I don't remember seeing any of the classic Joes, or even outside of the classic Joes, or even the Cobra, characters.
Yeah.
They all kind of made it through. not like Transformers. When Bumblebee's
like that,
Bumblebee's the first to die.
Woo! They made that a cover, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. They did a special cover of Bumblebee dead, laying dead, half his face blown off. It's probably come up in the slideshow I've had up. But yeah, that's an actual rare cover you can get for Transformers. It's fucked up. It's for issue 1.
Chris, you got anything?
No, I got nothing else.
I will say this. Look towards Comic-Con next month for major announcements for the Energon Universe. They're having a big panel there.
Oh yeah.
For that. At the beginning of the year, Hasbro renewed the license for MAHQ to release new toys for MAHQ, and they are speculating that it might become part of the Energon Universe coming up. One of the biggest clues actually is in the first issue of Destro. If you look at the preview pages, there's a particular person that shows up while a country's being raided that looks a lot like Miles Mayhem. I don't know if it's actually him or not, but it's been rumbling for a while that MAHQ might be showing up next as the next property. I don't know if
that
it's
guy.
Yeah, Miles
that
Mayhem.
Guy?
That looks exactly.
No, that guy in the comic that you're showing. That he's the leader of the country.
He's not. I don't know if he's the leader of the country. I think he's like the premier or whatever. But that looks like him right there, and that could be just a coincidence. But it looks a lot like him.
Yeah,
so.
I think you're looking. Too much
I could be. I'll admit to that. But that's what the speculation is about. And other than that, that's basically all I have before we give our ratings.
All right, so why don't we do those ratings, Fred? Why don't you give us an overall rating for the Energon Universe?
Yeah.
So overall, I gotta give it probably a 4 crushed deer out of 5. I think the Transformers book is like perfect. I think it's perfection. I love Cobra Commander. Duke and Void Rivals are great, but I don't think it makes it. They're good enough. They're great, but they're not good enough to make the whole thing a 5 out of 5. I still recommend everybody to read all of these books that are coming out, especially if you're a fan of the respective franchises. Don't sleep on Void Rivals. I think we're in for something huge.
I believe so.
So don't sleep on this, man, because when it hits, you're gonna be hearing me screaming from the hilltops about when whatever happens. And so yeah, I would 4 out of 5 for me.
Okay, so bro.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 decapitated bats out of 5. Battle Android. Yo, fucking Duke stood on that shit's shoulders and tore that head right off, dude. It was amazing. But yeah, I'd recommend this for anyone. You don't have to know anything about G.I. Joe or Transformers. It's actually it's a fresh take on these properties, and they bring you in. Especially with G.I. Joe, you don't have to know nothing. Those books do a really good job of introducing these characters to you and what they're about. I would say if you enjoyed X-Men 97, which I never really watched the original series for X-Men all that much, but I've been hooked on 97 and their take on the franchise since that started, and this feels similar, where they take the essence of the animated series, sprinkle in a little bit of continuity from the comics, but overall put a more adult take on these properties, and it's been a fantastic read so far, man. Especially where the comics are right now. We're entering year 2 of the comics for for the Energon universe, and I'm looking forward to see what they have next, especially with whatever announcements they have coming around the corner.
Your rating?
I'm surprised that I'm going to be giving this rating, but because I thought these two guys they would have done it. I'm actually going to give it 5 smart aleck handroids out of 5. I think.
Okay.
Talk to the handroid. I see.
Yeah, I think it. I think it did everything you would want to do in setting up a crossover. And I think it was. I think the pacing was good. I think the interpretation is good. I think the fact that it minimized all the, just blatant homages and shoehorn, like, hey, remember. Remember the vamp, or remember, the dragonfly helicopter, or this and that. It's like it made sense, and it's. I think it did what it needed to do because it's the basis of creating what's going to be an ongoing comic book franchise at this point. Rich feels like it will have a culmination. I think it will have an end point. Hopefully, like I said, my biggest fear is that the suits don't get involved. They're like, hey, we're doing this. Imagine if we had a couple other titles and, we would, that's money, money, money. See the Barbie movie on those are kind of the executives I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think, and this is a common thing because a lot of the big legacy crossover events in comics always start off strong. And I think, this is another case of it. And I feel that I agree. I think you don't have to be fans of the either one of the franchises. I think I'm sure if you're reading this, you probably have some familiarity with the franchises, but the fact that you are able to bring in an outside original property, which is basically probably the best or second best part of the whole entire crossover event, is what gives it the 5 for me. So
nice. Man, shit.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give the Energon Universe 4 blasted bumblebees out of 5.
Jesus Christ.
Dried bumblebee husks.
Oh, yeah. By the way, coming up for the Energon Universe, Scarlet issue 1 just came out last week. Destro comes out next week. Transformers and Void Rivals are ongoing series, so they'll continue on as well. They come out every Wednesday, one after the next. So if you jump on the train, you can join us on Wednesday. And by the way, shout outs to my boy Nick the Stampede. He's been hooked on this as much as I have. He actually bought for me the MegaCon exclusive issue 1 for Transformers, and the MegaCon exclusive issue 1 for Cobra Commander with the full cover. So I've got them shits. And yeah, man, I appreciate that, Nick. Thank you so much. He's actually bought me a few more comics he's gonna bring down next time he visits. So I'm excited to see that. And thank you, Nick. I appreciate you, sir. But back to you guys.
All right. Chris, anything in the MHQ world before we get out of here?
If you go check out MAHQ, you can see that I have added finally the Mecha for Gal Gaigar. So that's the first expansion into Mecha for a Brave series, because we have reviews, and my goal is to fill in all of the series that have anime reviews but no mecha, and all the series that have mecha but no anime reviews. So that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can check out Gal Gaigar, and pretty soon Final, and some of the other Brave series as well. So just be on the lookout for that kind of stuff.
Wow. Sounds exciting. So, but okay, great. Fred, thank you for joining us. It's always good to hear opinions and your insight on a lot of these things. So thank you for joining. Soulbro, you want to tell the people where they can reach us?
I'll keep it brief, man. MAHQ.net, man. That's where the magic happens. Make sure to go there, visit, favorite the website, and check often, especially with the updates that are going up now. They got a spotlight on L Game, man. Classic from 1984, man. Hope you guys check that out as well as their spotlight on Gundam X and other recent articles that are up on the site. Also, check us over on youtube.com/GundamMAHQ. If you're watching live there, make sure to hit the thumbs up. And feel free to leave a comment, man. I know the algorithm has changed dramatically, so if videos don't get a thumbs up and a comment, they don't get seen. So if anything, if you guys have any thoughts on the Energon Universe that you want to share, by all means do that. And your support definitely humbles me, and I thank you guys for all the years of support on the channel. Other than that, if you're watching on twitch.tv/SpidersReady, feel free to follow. Don't subscribe, though. You don't have to pay any money to subscribe me there. Other than that, yeah, man, check out the websites, and thank you guys for supporting us all these years.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for episode 294 of Gundam and MAHQ, where we talked about the first arc of the comic book series of the Energon Universe, which is basically the G.I. Joe Transformers with the new added property Void Rivals. So we'll be back in a few weeks with episode 295, and the countdown to 300 begins. Ooh. What could be episode 300? Don't know.
It is the year 2005, and a new evil threatens the galaxy in the most incredible adventure you've ever seen. Transformers, the movie. And so he dies. Does Prime die? Then who would lead the Autobots? And what is the secret of the monster planet?
It's so big, so exciting, you've got to see it twice to take it all in. Transformers, the movie. Rated PG, open to theaters everywhere in 3 days.
waited an eternity for this. It's over, Prime.